artistic photo of HyunA and DAWN, a love story. They were the couple that wasn't just dating, but when that fairy tale shattered in late 2022, the breakup was more than just a headline. It was a public unraveling. The split between HyunA and DAWN shocked the industry, not just because of their very public love, but because of what happened. The end began not with a private fight, but under the glaring lights of a reality TV set. DAWN, appearing on a dating show, was ambushed with questions about past lovers. The moment was awkward, charged with a tension that fans could feel through the screen. Shortly after, the announcement came. HyunA and DAWN, after 6 years of being inseparable, were over. The news didn't just feel like a breakup. It felt like the collapse of an entire universe they had built together. This was no ordinary idol couple. They had flaunted their love in an industry that treats dating as a scandal. They had matching tattoos, coordinated their wild avant-garde outfits, and presented a united front of artistic and personal rebellion. Their careers were so deeply intertwined that untangling them seemed impossible, which is exactly why their split sent such shockwaves. It made everyone question, if a love that loud could go silent, what did that mean for the performative nature of relationships in the public eye? In the aftermath, the path they took couldn't have been more different. DAWN retreated from the public view, eventually enlisting for his mandatory military service. It was a period of radio silence, a complete disappearance that left fans to wonder how he was processing the monumental shift in his life. HyunA, however, remained squarely in the headlines, and in 2024 she delivered the that would permanently redefine the narrative around their split. She married the controversial singer Hyun, a former member of Highlight who had been embroiled in the Burning Sun scandal. This move was seismic. For many fans, it wasn't just that she had moved on, it was who she had moved on with. Public sentiment, which had been largely sympathetic, began to fracture. The image of the rebellious artist in love was slowly being replaced, in some corners of the internet, with a more complicated and criticized figure. All the while, a clock was ticking. DAWN's military discharge date loomed, and with it, the inevitable moment he would have to face the world and the news of HyunA's marriage. The curiosity was palpable. How do you deal with your very public ex-partner marrying someone else while you were serving your country? When he finally re-emerged this past fall, the change was immediately the subject of intense discussion. He was spotted at a label party in New York, and the photos went viral. This wasn't the DAWN people remembered. Gone were the bleached eyebrows, the shock of colorful hair, the theatrical couple outfits. He looked healthier, stronger, and carried himself with a grounded, quiet confidence that fans found startling. The online reaction was overwhelmingly positive, with comments like, "I hate that I didn't recognize him. He looks so good," flooding social media. But this praise sparked a secondary and far more critical conversation about his past. Suddenly, the very aesthetic he had shared with HyunA was being reevaluated. The narrative quickly began to shift, with many online voices suggesting that DAWN was finally free from an image that had constrained him. The experimental fashion, the coordinated hair, the matching tattoos, all of it was now being framed not as a shared artistic expression, but as a suppression of his individuality. The praise for his new look was often laced with a thinly veiled criticism of HyunA. Comments like, "Thank God HyunA and DAWN broke up. She had him out here looking like a sick Victorian child," went viral, reflecting a stark turn in public sentiment against her. It was a dramatic rewriting of their history, where their once celebrated unity was now being painted as her influence overshadowing him. This new DAWN seemed to represent a maturity forged in solitude and service, an artist finally existing independently, not as one half of a famous pair. But while DAWN was being celebrated for his glow-up, HyunA was navigating a much rockier public path. True to her nature, she embarked on her own series of transformations, both personal and aesthetic, alongside her new husband. Earlier this summer, she surprised everyone by ditching her long black hair for a vibrant orange bob, a bold throwback to her most eccentric eras. In the photos, Hyun stood beside her, sporting his own dramatic change, a bright turquoise buzz cut. The parallels were instant and inescapable. Fans immediately saw the ghost of her past relationship, the same dynamic of mirrored avant-garde aesthetics now being replicated with a new partner. The internet exploded with commentary. Some saw it as endearing, proof that HyunA thrives when she can create art with her partner, but many others viewed it with suspicion, with one user capturing the prevailing criticism perfectly. HyunA's husband slowly started looking like Dawn's old version. The implication was clear. Was she trying to recreate what she had lost, molding a new partner into the image of the old? This controversial new era took a harsh and deeply personal turn just a few months later. In early October, HyunA and her husband appeared at an airport, both with their hair dyed back to a severe black, dressed in darker, edgier outfits. But the conversation wasn't about their style. Instead, netizens zeroed in on HyunA's body, launching a wave of cruel speculation that she had gained weight, with some even suggesting she was pregnant. The comments spiraled into a brutal body-shaming fest, with people calling her unrecognizable and claiming she had fallen from her peak. The whiplash was severe. She had been criticized for being too bold, and now she was being torn down for not being thin enough. The double standard was glaring, especially when held up against the universal praise for Dawn's healthier, stronger physique. It was a painful reminder of the impossible beauty standards and relentless scrutiny faced by female idols, a storm their male counterparts rarely weather in the same way. The weight of this scrutiny proved too much to bear silently. On October 3rd, HyunA posted a devastating response on Instagram. She shared old photos of herself when she was slimmer, alongside a caption that echoed the very hate comments she had received. "HyunA, you ate way too much. You need to snap out of this and commit to a drastic diet starting now. You used to love being bone skinny. Let's do it again." It was clearly not a joke, but a cry for help, a sign that the cruel words had burrowed deep. Fans were heartbroken. The woman who had built a brand on defiant confidence was now publicly shaming herself, pressured to conform to the very standards she once seemed to transcend. Supporters flooded her comments with messages of love, urging her to prioritize health and happiness over a number on a scale. But the damage was done, painting a stark picture of her emotional state amidst her new marriage. As HyunA battled this public humiliation, Dawn was stepping back into the spotlight in a way that would force him to confront their past head-on. He agreed to appear on the dating reality show Exchange 4, a decision that many now see as a strategic misstep. The production team had been pursuing him for a while, and his eventual agreement set the stage for what felt like an inevitable ambush. The atmosphere turned palpably tense when the conversation shifted to ex-lovers. Dawn tried to remain neutral, but the host zeroed in on him, asking directly about reconnecting with exes. The room fell silent as Dawn, visibly uncomfortable, delivered a blunt response. "I've never contacted them after breaking up, not even once. Even when they reached out, I never replied." He added, "I don't really understand the idea of getting back together." The panel was stunned. His words were a cold, hard confirmation that there had been zero contact since the split, severing any hope fans had of a future reconciliation. But the emotional gut punch was yet to come. Later in the same episode, a female guest shared her pain about seeing an ex with someone new. Seizing the moment, the host turned to Dawn and asked if he could relate. After a short, heavy breath, he simply said, "Yes, I can." That single, quiet admission changed everything. The host quickly apologized, but the moment was already etched into the public consciousness. Social media erupted. Here was the raw, unvarnished truth they had been searching for. He wasn't pretending to be completely unaffected. He was acknowledging the very human pain of seeing the person you loved for years build a life with someone else, especially under such public circumstances. Fans felt it was cruel to put him in that position, a deliberate trap for dramatic content. Yet, his honesty, devoid of bitterness, only made his recent transformation more believable. He wasn't erasing the past. He was choosing not to let it define his future.